Hi KentCov kids, Mr. Kevin here, and our story this month is the parable of the Good Samaritan. Many times Jesus told a parable because someone was trying to test him or maybe even trick him into saying something that would get him into trouble. But Jesus was too wise to fall for tricks and traps like that. Often he responded by telling a story or even asked another question to get the people thinking and feeling, like Pastor Trina talked about last week. And that is exactly how we got the parable of the Good Samaritan. The very first verse of this story starts like this. One day, an authority on the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to receive eternal life?" What does that mean, an authority of the law? Like a lawyer or a police officer? Well, no, this was probably a Pharisee or some other person who was an expert on religious law, the laws that the Jews of that time had to follow in order to be accepted and approved by the temple, the priests, and all of that. Well, knowing this man already knew the answer, because he'd been listening to Jesus teach for a while, Jesus answered this man's question with a question. "What do the scriptures say? How do you understand them?" And the man answered, as Jesus expected, with what we call the greatest commandment. "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus tells him he has given the correct answer. But then the man asks, "Who is my neighbor? Who must I love as myself?" Well, here's the trick question. Man, those religious leaders, they did not like that Jesus hung out with and helped sinners. And this included people who disobeyed God's laws, didn't follow God's laws, or followed God in a way that they didn't approve of. But those were exactly the people that Jesus was trying to reach because God loved them too. So Jesus often challenged this thinking, accusing the religious leaders of caring more for their rules than truly loving people and helping them. So Jesus responded to this last question by telling the parable of the Good Samaritan. Now, remember, the Jews saw the Samaritans as sinners. So after Jesus told the story of how a Samaritan was the one who stopped to help the Jewish man, not the religious leaders, Jesus asked, "Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by robbers?" And the authority of the law had to face the truth, that every person is our neighbor, even if we think they are sinners. So how can you love your neighbor as you love yourself? Well, it starts by loving God with your whole self. And when we do that, it changes our hearts and makes us think about people in a new way, so we show kindness to our neighbors, the people who are right there in front of us each day, just like Jesus would. So live and love your neighbor like Jesus asks us to. And I'll see you again soon, neighbor. Bye.